So welcome to the Wednesdays at 1 webinar series. This week our webinar series is the Regional Town Hall. My name is Megan Lucas. I'm the CEO of the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance, and it's great to see everyone today, and I really appreciate everybody tuning in. As we move forward, I want to remind everybody to put their phone or computers on mute so it helps everybody participating with their ability to hear and participate. As we've shared on social media and in all of our communications, the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance has coordinated a regional COVID landing page on our website. That has all things consistent, relevant, and timely as it relates to business needs and community opportunities and issues related to the COVID-19 virus. Our website is lynchburgregion.org, and when that pops up, you'll see a picture that says Coronavirus Hub. We've also recently formed the Regional COVID-19 Business Solutions Task Force. That task force is made up of all of the local economic developers in the region, as well as Downtown Lynchburg Association, the Small Business Development Center, and of course the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance. Today, we are thrilled to have with us our administrators, all the administrators that were able to join us today. You will hear from Reid Wodicka. Reid is the Deputy Director of the City of Lynchburg. You'll hear from Dean Rodgers, who's the County Administrator for Amherst County. You'll hear from Robert Hiss, who is the Administrator for Bedford County. And you'll hear from Frank Rodgers, who is the Administrator for Campbell County. And following after our administrators will be our Attorney General, Mark Herring. We couldn't be more thrilled that our Attorney General could join us today. I remind you that these podcasts, Wednesdays at 1, will be weekly. Again, every Wednesday, 1 o'clock. The topics will vary based on what the most important needs are and requests are from our business community. With that said, we'll do question and answer after everybody has spoken. If you have a question you'd like to be considered, please use the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, and I'll manage those questions as they come forth. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Our goal is to wrap this up by 1:45, so let's get going. Reid, the floor is yours. Please unmute and begin.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So first of all, let me say that Bonnie wishes that she could be here. The city manager, Bonnie Sverchek, wishes she could be here. She has a family medical issue dealing with today, but she's very involved in all of this. So happy to be with you to talk with you about this. So first of all, thank you for everyone who is joining the call today. It's very important that we have continued conversation between the local government and the business community. It is vital to the long-term success of our community and certainly making it through this experience. Certainly we are in troubling times, and we're very uncertain. It's very uncertain for everyone. And our community looks to all of us who are on this call. So whether you're a public sector leader or a private sector leader, we represent the institutions that make this city and this region what it is and gives us the strength that we need to make it through challenging times. So one thing I think that probably everyone will reiterate is that we need to make sure that we are continuing to support our local economy, to encourage everyone as much as we possibly can to continue business where we can while maintaining our health and safety. And so that could be something simple as getting takeout or getting a gift card. But ultimately, we're really thinking about how do we make sure that we continue to weather this storm together as partners, and making sure that we are continuing to think about what our local economy looks like for the long run. We certainly, again, think we need to do that as partners. So there's a few things that the city is doing that we think are going to be helpful for the business community and for our entire community as a whole. We sort of see them in three different areas. First of all, we think communication and continued advocacy for a variety of events that are occurring. We are extending and tax deadlines and as well as other fees. And we're also continuing our operations that we know are vital to the success of the various components of our local economy. With respect to continued communications and continued advocacy for our community, immediately after we learned that this would really be a significant impact economically for the city and the region, the city's Office of Economic Development and Tourism sent a survey to businesses throughout the city to learn about what their needs were. And the overwhelming response certainly was that really where people were looking for continued communications, which is part of what we're doing here today, as well as other avenues. We're also sending out a weekly newsletter, which you probably got this morning, related to COVID-19 issues. We've also helped to reconvene the regional task force that Megan mentioned a few minutes ago. Finally, we are also continuing to sell the city from an economic development and tourism standpoint. We are continuing to work with hospitality organizations, for instance, to book meetings and other events later in the year that we are actively encouraging folks to participate in, and we certainly are actively encouraging folks to postpone, not cancel future events as we go forward. It's really very important. With respect to taxes, we are really very pleased that the city is in the position to offer the extension of several payments for a variety of taxes that we think will assist the community, the business community. Probably the hardest impact of this is the restaurant community. And we have announced that our February meals tax, as well as our March and April meals tax, will be delayed. You've probably seen that if you're in that business. We are providing opportunity to defer that payment that is there. We're also excited to announce today that we will be deferring a very short deferral of our business license tax from a due date of May 1st to May 20th. That should give folks a little bit more room to be able to pay that on time. You'll be receiving a letter probably either tomorrow or Friday to let you know about that. We'll also not be disconnecting water service between March 18th and April 8th. This is more dedicated to our residents, but certainly would affect businesses as well. And then finally, our downtown parking operations, we are reducing a number of limits on time limits and that sort of thing on downtown parking. So we have I think a robust set of opportunities that we're deferring costs for folks as we move forward. I do also want to mention that the city is still open for business. We are certainly limiting our staffing, as probably many of you are, in the City Hall and other city buildings. But we have made a very specific effort to remain open for business. So if you need to get a permit, if you need to submit plans for a project, really conduct any other business that requires you to come to City Hall, we're still able to do that. Of course, we would highly encourage anybody who can use an online function to do so, if at all possible. But if that's not possible, we have crafted a staffing strategy that will allow you to be here and get business done that you need to get done. I just want to mention just for a few minutes, turning to the 10-person patron and maximum that you've seen out there. I want to be clear that what we've seen so far is that businesses in Lynchburg have done an excellent job of adhering to the governor's guidance, and we really trust that our business community will continue to do so. There certainly are challenges that may come up with folks that are not following that, and when that occurs, we will deal with that on a case-by-case basis in coordination with the local health department. Ultimately, this really is a public health issue rather than necessarily a public safety issue. And the Lynchburg Police Department certainly does not have the resources to patrol every single business. And so we certainly trust and are continuing to rely on the business community to keep our community healthy and safe as we go forward. So now to sort of city business. Again, we want to be clear that city government is continuing as necessary. City Council just last night held a work session continuing to talk about their budget and to get certain things done that really were time sensitive. Unfortunately, there's very few options for alternative meeting styles, electronic or something else like we're doing here. But we do know that it's very important that certain business continue to go forth. The City Council has been very committed to that as we go forward. So we're doing a lot of social distancing, but we're still having these meetings. So if a business needs to get something done, or if they need City Council to do something for them that has a time-sensitive component, again, we have the capacity to make it work, and we'll continue that operation. Finally, I know all of us are dealing with the development of our budgets. As you can imagine, this time is a busy time anyway, much less with the development of this crisis. As you can imagine, we are reevaluating revenue projections for the coming year. We start our fiscal year on July 1st, just like every other local government. And we certainly are reevaluating where we are and understanding that our prioritization for our budget process will certainly change over the next couple of months as we continue to learn about what the economic fallout of this situation will be. So don't really have a lot to share with that, to share with you on that at this moment, but in the next several weeks, we'll really know a lot more, and we'll know how our budget picture will change in the coming year. We are engaging in opportunities for folks to participate in the budget process that we otherwise typically would not. So people certainly will be able to come to our public hearings, personally, but our communications and public engagement department is working on opportunities for folks to engage with technology if they do not want to come to City Hall. So just wrap up, our message to the business community is that, city government is still certainly in operation. We're certainly doing everything we possibly can to make doing business with the city as easy as we possibly can. We've certainly altered our staffing strategy, again, as many of you probably have, to keep employees healthy and safe. But if you do need to do business with the city for any reason, we're certainly here and certainly available. We know that we play an important role, as do the county governments, into making sure that we're able to make it through these challenging times, just as this city and region has done many times before. And we are certainly dedicated to the local economy and ensuring that we maintain a healthy and safe environment for everyone. So certainly would encourage everyone to remain vigilant and continue to partner with, we will continue to partner with everyone around us in any way that will be helpful. And I certainly want to thank all city employees and as well as everyone out there for all of the work that they've done to make this work and try to change what we're doing. So with that, I'll turn it over to the next person.
Thank you so much, Reid. Again, I remind everybody watching, we're well over 200 watching, by the way. If you have questions, just use the Q&A at the bottom of your screen to type those and send those to me. Please welcome Reid. We appreciate you very much, and we missed Bonnie, but thank you. Please welcome Dean Rodgers, Administrator with the County of Amherst.
Hi, thank you, Megan. Appreciate it. Amherst County remains open for business. We are cranking. We're still in the middle of a small building boom. Our inspectors are allowed to take their cars home now, and so they're out all day long as construction sites move along. Restaurants are still being built, apartment buildings still being built, so everything's moving business as usual on the surface. Here at the office, we have gone to minimum manning, but and I'm allowing people to work from home, those that can, and we call in those who need to come in to work on projects. So nothing has slowed down. We have posted on the county's website a red banner that you can click on, and then you can have the actual contact numbers for anyone that you want to deal with. So if you need anything, any assistance in any way from the county, all that information is right there, one click on the home page. So with regard to moving government business forward, our public meetings are still being held as scheduled. One thing that we're doing differently, though, for people that don't want to come out and want to maintain their social distancing, is we now broadcast those meetings on Facebook. So those are a live broadcast. They're not recorded, but if you want to sit in on the meeting but don't want to be present, just go to our Facebook page and it'll be broadcast there at the time of the meeting. Let's see, with regard to our budget, we were on the brink of having a budget ready to go, and the board has decided now to delay that process about 2 months so that they can assess the impacts. Hopefully within the next 2 months, we can get to and through the peak of the curve and determine how that's going to affect our revenues. In Amherst, hopefully it won't have that big of an effect because our revenues are based more on real estate. And so the business impacts won't be as large. We're hopeful. But we've scheduled a new public hearing date for the budget for people to be aware of. That'll be June the 2nd. It'll be at the county high school. Whether we do that in the auditorium or out in the big wide gymnasium so people can stay separated has yet to be seen. And the board may push that date back, but we still believe we can have a budget passed and ready to go by the 1st of July. Let's see. Our efforts to assist business and workers, so far we haven't seen much impact. I'm happy to receive phone calls, emails from anybody to let us know what type of help that they need. The impact has not been that great here in Amherst County. We haven't incurred any additional expenses. We haven't needed additional supplies that we haven't been able to get. And so we seem to be weathering it just fine. It helps to be a rural location, I think. With regard to the restrictions on businesses that, as Reid already mentioned, that's really a responsibility in enforcing the governor's executive order. That's really a responsibility of the health department with the assistance of the sheriff's department. And we too see no need for that because businesses are being very respectful of that. So I haven't heard of any problems in that regard. So with regard to Amherst County, things are fine. We continue to make plans for the redevelopment of the Central Virginia Training Center. We continue to move our plans forward for master planning for Madison Heights. And I invite anybody with any questions or comments or concerns to give me a call directly, and I'll run with them. So with that, I'll turn it over to the next person.
Thank you, Dean. I might let everybody know the website I mentioned, lynchburgregion.org, that has the coronavirus hub. At the bottom of that webpage, you'll have all the contact information for all of our county and county administrators and city administrators as well. I remind everyone to please put their questions in the Q&A. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Robert Hiss, Bedford County Administrator.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you everybody for joining this phone call this afternoon. And much like the previous administrators, Bedford County is certainly open for business. We do have our office hours are closed to the public right now, but in order to promote the social distancing and so forth, but we have lots of tools in order to allow people to continue to conduct their business, online portals that do building permits and other types of plans that need to be reviewed and so forth. So for the most part, our work is still going forward. We have the same type of workload that we've had before, but it's been an interesting process here because not only our local government.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you, Robert. Is everybody else hearing Robert's? Can you hear Robert okay? Robert is coming through mechanical on our end. Shake your heads if you can hear Robert okay.
Well,
okay. It may just be me then. Go ahead, Robert. Oh, no way. Okay.
All right. Can you still hear me?
Hold on a second. Yeah, we're having trouble hearing Robert. So Robert, I'm gonna put you on mute and we're gonna skip you and come back to you. Okay, go ahead and mute yourself. And we're gonna move on to Frank Rodgers. Frank with Campbell County.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate y'all taking a moment to join us. I want to echo some of the sentiments you've already heard, the first being gratitude to our business community and the efforts you've put forth to be compliant with the directives we're getting from the CDC and Virginia Department of Health. The county, as you've heard so far from our other jurisdictions, has gone to minimum staffing. We have also, as of Tuesday of this week, closed our offices to public visitation, but we also have established mechanisms for citizens to continue to interface with us and get the necessary work of the county done, whether that's a call, an appointment, or an email. We continue to serve the community. We recognize that particularly on the development side of the county organization, we play a critical part in enabling the local economy, and it's very important to us that we continue to provide those services so that folks can keep working and keep paying people. We too have emphasized our communication out to our community, our business community, but also to our employee base as our local ambassadors to make sure that folks understand how to best contact us, but also how to comply given the unprecedented times that we're in. With regard to our public meetings, as you've heard previously, there are certain limitations on how we are to conduct our business and to manage public meetings. We are in the process of reviewing some of our latitude under emergency declarations and the like, and how we might otherwise structure electronic participation. But we are already working to put pieces in place so that the community can involve themselves in our continued meeting through electronic means such as Zoom, Facebook, and other technologies. Our budget development, we were anticipating providing our recommended budget to the Board of Supervisors on April 7th. So we will continue along that timeline. We're sort of in this period now where we have the new information related to the potential implications of the virus. And so we'll incorporate some of that into our planning for next year, certainly hoping that by July 1, we're all starting to turn a quarter back toward what we might collectively consider normalcy, and that looking forward over the next fiscal year, we'll be able to be a little more optimistic than we can be with the close of the current fiscal year. In terms of enforcement, yes, our community has been very respectful of the regulations and the limitations put on gathering places and operation of businesses. As you've heard previously, we consider that a Department of Health initiative, but to the degree the Sheriff's Department needs to assist with that, we'll certainly come alongside to make sure everybody's being as safe as they can be. So we continue to be available to the community. The staff are doing a yeoman's job of being innovative and accessible, and I'm very grateful for that. And we're also very open to hearing from the community. This has got to be a partnership, and this has got to be an ongoing dialogue. The situation is changing every day. So as the community needs change, we need to be hearing from folks in the community, the business community, the community writ large, so that we can be as responsive to those needs as possible. So I think that hit on the highlights, but we'll look forward to any questions that folks have at the conclusion of remarks. So I'll turn it back to you, Megan.
Thanks so much, Frank. I appreciate that. Robert, we're going to try you again. Did you see our text messages? Go ahead and unmute Robert and give it a whirl.
All right, can you hear me better?
I can certainly, yes, it's better. Thank you.
Is it better?
Yes,
Okay.
everyone. Thank you, Frank and Robert Hiss from Bedford County.
All right, great. Okay, sorry about that. I'm not sure. Anyways, technology challenges, but we overcome. That's a story of what we're doing right now, is trying to overcome and adjust. So, Bedford County, like I said, is open for business. Our economic development staff is surveying different businesses within our community in order to see what their needs are. From the best I can determine from working with our staff is that manufacturers are, for the most part, with a few exceptions, are doing very well and still have orders that they're fulfilling and moving forward. But on our small business side, we do have challenges with the restaurants and other businesses that are being impacted by the closures. That is certainly something we're concerned about and we're studying. And in terms of looking at what future assistance Bedford County can lend, we have limited resources and opportunities to assist. So whenever we do, I want to make sure, and I think the board does, that we're very effective with what we're doing. So we're going to continue to look at that and assess, and hopefully in the near future, as we continue to learn what our business needs are, we can adjust accordingly and help out most effectively. So in terms of our meetings and so forth, similar to what our other jurisdictions are working on, we've had to adjust. I have to give credit to Liberty University with their communications department. They have helped our board in terms of streaming our board meetings. So those are now going to be streamed live, at least for the next couple months, until we find a better alternative. And then they're placed on a YouTube channel for future viewing. And we're going to have to work on some, how do we obtain public input during our budget public hearings and other meetings in the future as well. So in terms of our budget, our board is just like every other board. We've had to adjust and look at our revenue estimates. We've certainly, as of a month, 6 weeks ago, the economy was booming. Everything was going great. We were anticipating greater revenues than we would ever seen before, but we can't do that anymore. So we've had to ratchet those back to nearly level funding and maybe even further. But I think the board so far has done a great job in terms of trying to balance our budget and making sure that we're not delivering less services than what our citizens already expect with the good high quality services that we already provide. So I think that's something that is important to our community, is to continue to do that and work within our means of our existing tax levels. So we're not looking at any revenue enhancements, certainly. And, you know, one of our bigger challenges, we're not immune, similar to a lot of our private sector partners. You know, we're holding off on any unnecessary spending. We're enacting a hiring freeze right now, which can go on for quite a while. We'll have to see how that progresses, but that will be a fluid process. And but with the budget, we're going to have to do a hiring freeze in order to, quite frankly, maybe imbalance the budget. But I think as one of our closing things with our board work session Monday night was that this is really uncharted territory for all of us, and we're going to have to adopt a budget to the best of the knowledge of the information that we have at the time. And of course, we'll have to adjust and review that on a bi-monthly and quarterly basis to see how our communities are recovering financially, and of course, hopefully our businesses are recovering financially as well. In terms of just restrictions on the governor's declaration and so forth, similar to what our other jurisdictions, you know, our businesses are taking ownership of the situation, and almost all of them are, vast majority of them are voluntarily complying. Of course, our sheriff's office is ready to, would respond to any complaints or concerns, but you know, our focus is always educational first, and then and just warnings and discussions, and hopefully we'll never get into a compliance matter that we'll have to look at, because really everybody's in this together, and we have a pretty close-knit community and region, and everybody has been very cooperative so far and understands the challenges of what that is. I think one thing that's been really neat in a lot of the other jurisdictions, but really cool seeing this with our school system, and I think some of the other school systems as well, is the ability, if you think about a school system, you know, their primary mission has always is provide education opportunities and services to our community. Well, to me, it's just been amazing to watch in our cities and our counties and so forth, from our education system switching from an educational provider to a food service provider. And they've done that very quickly and very efficiently, especially to meet the needs of those individuals who have food insecurity issues, and also are watching every dollar that they have right now because of the economic challenges that our businesses and families are facing. The other things that we're working on that could also affect and influence businesses or business people within our community is a lot of our, just like you with the private sector, some of our workforce is working from home. You know, being a rural county, we have broadband and internet challenges. We've been hearing from some of your workers that are working from home that are experiencing the same thing. So just really the last couple of days, we've been trying to ramp up everything that we can do in terms of our public facilities, with our county buildings, our libraries, town facilities, and perhaps even we'll talk to our school systems about what we can do in order to strengthen our signals. I know, look at different hotspot opportunities, so people can telework from home more effectively if they are in areas that are challenged. But our broadband initiative is unfortunately 2 or 3 months too late for this whole crisis, but that is still moving forward, and Blue Ridge Towers is working very, very hard to get that up and running. The status reports are amazing, but we're still, unfortunately, a couple months from that coming to realization. You know, and again, business is ongoing in Bedford County. A lot of great things are happening. In fact, talked to our economic development staff the last couple of days, and we have, believe it or not, a couple announcements for a new industry and expansion that we're looking to finalize over the next couple of weeks. And as best as we can tell from conversations with those companies, they're still ready to move forward. So in a lot of ways, you know, what's exciting about living in this area of Virginia and Bedford County is, you know, our fundamentals and our business economy is very good. And unfortunately, we're all being struck with this public health crisis. And I think what the Board of Supervisors and what we have to position ourselves is to make sure that we preserve those fundamentals, so that when we are recovering out of this public health crisis, that we can resume the good business atmosphere that we've been enjoying for a number of years. And I think that is a strategy, just an overall arching strategy that we value in Bedford County. our elected officials value and want to promote. And I know there's a lot of short-term needs that just in order to keep things afloat, and we're ready to stand by and listen and assist where we can. Thank you, Megan, and everybody who's listening for this opportunity. And I'll turn it back over to Megan.
Thanks so much, Robert. I appreciate you and all the administrators who are able to join us today. I am thrilled to I'm thrilled to also introduce our final speaker. We couldn't be more pleased that Attorney General Mark Herring is joining us today. We've given him some questions. He's going to brief us on the matters that we're getting the most requests for. Please note that his comments are not legal advice and should not be construed as that way. It's our official legal disclaimer. But Attorney General Mark Herring, we are thrilled you could join us, and the floor is yours. 1 second, there's no volume. You are muted, Attorney General Herring. Stand by for technical difficulties. I'm not seeing a microphone. Stand by, everyone. I don't think it's me. Don't forget lynchburgregion.org for latest updated information. And as that relates to—
Try that.
Oh, here we go.
Hey.
All right, let's see. Now, can you see me?
We can see just the top of your head.
All right, here we go. How about this?
Welcome.
Right.
Thank you for being here.
All right, well, Megan, thanks so much for inviting me. And I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say I and we are all looking forward to the time when we can meet together again and in person. But until then, it's nice to have this opportunity to speak to the Lynchburg Business Alliance. And to everyone, it's really nice to have the opportunity to speak to you all as business leaders. Before I was elected Attorney General, I either owned my own firm or was in partnership with others. And so I know what it's like to own a small business. You pour your heart and soul into it. And when tough times come, you just really put everything you have to keep the business going, to keep your employees. And so I know how difficult the situation it is that we're all finding ourselves in during this unprecedented health crisis. So I thought I would start off with just kind of hitting a few things. The first one is just to summarize a little bit about the governor's latest order. As you all know, at midnight last night, the governor's additional restrictions on establishments that serve the public went into effect. Briefly, those are restaurants can remain open for carry-out, curbside, and delivery service only. Gatherings of more than 10 people are banned. All recreation and entertainment services must close. Personal care services that cannot adhere to social distancing must close. Non-essential retail establishments can remain open only if they allow 10 or fewer patrons and adhere to social distancing and increased sanitation procedures. Essential services like groceries, health services, and businesses in our supply chain will remain open, but they have to adhere to social distancing and increased sanitizing procedures. And these measures will be in effect statewide for at least 30 days. I know that's difficult for a lot of businesses and want to thank you, first of all, for everything that you've done for the communities in the greater Lynchburg area. I know that's going to be difficult for folks. I know that the governor's decisions were not easy ones, but it is a public health crisis. And as he said, the sooner we can address the public health crisis, the sooner our economy will recover. I know some of you also may have questions about some of these restrictions, things like whether a certain business is an essential or non-essential business. You can email those questions to business@virginia.gov. That's business@virginia.gov. So I'd like to shift now to a few of the areas that our office is engaged in. The first one is price gouging. I know this probably does not have any applicability to anyone on this line, but it's important for everyone to know what the rules are. So if you do see it happening out there, you let our consumer protection section know as soon as possible. First of all, when the governor made his announcement about the state of emergency back on March 12th, that's when our state's anti-price gouging laws took effect, and our office is responsible for enforcing that. We take it very seriously. We investigate every single complaint. So far, we've gotten about 130 from, that's a statewide total, and it varies in terms of the type of business, but generally, the goods that have been identified mostly have been things like hand sanitizers, cleaning supplies, bottled water. And again, I take that responsibility very seriously. And so if anyone out there sees that happening, you all should contact my consumer protection section as soon as possible. It is hard to believe that there is anybody out there who would take advantage of people who are buying necessities at a time when people are getting sick, and sadly some are dying. But history tells us that does happen, and we will investigate every single case and take it very seriously. So one other area that we have been working on are utility disconnections. I filed an emergency petition shortly after the state of emergency to make sure that utility disconnections are temporarily halted during this state of emergency. At a time when we're asking people to stay at home to help limit the spread of the virus, it really doesn't make sense to allow disconnections that force them outside of their home. And the State Corporation Commission has recently ordered for that to take effect. And then the last area I wanted to cover was our recent opinion about how local government can continue to make important decisions during this unprecedented crisis. Basically, what we've done is made sure that as we've looked at our open government laws, it does provide sufficient flexibility and is sufficiently elastic to allow local governing bodies, city councils and boards of supervisors to provide for services, make important decisions, address the needs of their constituents, while at the same time making sure that we're maintaining our commitment to open government and transparent government. The short gist of it is that local governments can do essential things that are really important. They can do those through electronic meetings. Things that are non-essential, where no public harm would really result if a decision's deferred for some time, those you can't do by electronic means. And when a local governing body does meet electronically, there are a number of notice requirements, so the public still has to get notice and an opportunity to participate, and minutes need to be posted. So I wanted to just kind of give a summary of some of the work that we're doing. And again, I want to thank all of the business leaders in the area for what you all are doing, and let us know whenever we can be of further help and assistance. I know it's a tough time. I'm sure governments at every level are going to be looking at what they can do to help support the business community.
Thank you so much. I couldn't find my unmute button. Thank you. We really appreciate it. What was the website again that businesses could go to if they question?
It's an email address.
Email.
So they can email their questions to business@virginia.gov.
And what sorts of questions should they be using that email address for again?
That's really for questions about the latest restrictions on business establishments. So things like whether their business is essential or non-essential, what it means to continue to have social distancing in their business, what sorts of additional sanitizing will allow them to qualify to stay open. Those types of questions business owners can get some guidance from the administration on.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Now is the time we have a few questions. Again, I appreciate everybody for participating today. I have a question for all the counties. The question is, are any of the counties considering deferring any of the local taxes similar to what the City of Lynchburg has done? So meals tax, licensing fees, and hotel taxes. Just unclick and speak.
I'll just say, Megan, that we're currently at a staff level. We're studying that right now. Of course, we're not going to study for a long time, but that's something that we are certainly reviewing. And, you know, we'll have further conversations with our Board of Supervisors in the very, very near future about that.
In Amherst, their county attorney is working on an ordinance that would allow us to push back licensing taxes. Right now, it's being drafted from 1 May to 1 June. But of course, it has not yet been put in front of the board, and they can manipulate the dates and the conditions and that sort of thing. So we're trying to get ready for that should it become necessary.
Yeah, and from Campbell County, very much the same. We're taking a look at all our options with the hope that we can make some recommendations to the board at their April 7th board meeting.
Okay, I had a follow-up question that was also wanting me to add equipment and property taxes to that as well. So as you consider those areas, please don't forget about that. And then 1 second, I had another question. Oh. Can local government boards meet entirely online rather than have to have quorums on site? Anyone?
So my understanding right now is that we have to have at least a quorum on site unless you go by way of an emergency meeting and you're dealing with something very specifically related to the declaration of local emergency, so very specific to the COVID crisis. So again, we're taking a look at what our options are, but my understanding right now is that for the larger body of public work that the board routinely does, we would indeed need to have a physical quorum present, and then perhaps have some members participate electronically in keeping with the board's previously adopted electronic meeting participation policy. So that was a long way to say yes. I'm under the impression and the understanding that we need to have at least a quorum physically present.
Okay. I'm just checking. These questions are coming at me from all over the place. I want to thank everybody for participating. Any questions that we weren't able to get to, we will cull through them and probably do a Q&A or something on our website to let them get answered. I appreciate everybody tuning into the Wednesday at 1 webinar. Next Wednesday, the guests will be state and federal government in nature. We have confirmed Barry Duvall with the state chamber, and then we have invitations out to 1 or 2 cabinet members, and then our federal delegation as well. I know you've heard me say a couple times today, it's really important to have comprehensive, consistent, relevant information. And the Regional Business Task Force has put together the landing page on our website at lynchburgregion.org. And that information is where everybody can go for consistent information about SBA, the SBA loan program, about more and more as we learn about the federal stimulus package. All that information and frequently asked questions can be found there. Again, we really do appreciate everybody participating today. To our county and city administrators, thank you all for your leadership. To the elected, those that are elected, it's not easy being elected. You've heard me say this once or twice. We certainly appreciate you, and you all have your work cut out for you. In closing, I want to say we are a wonderful, wonderful region. Robert said it, all of you have said it. This region is really fantastic. We are resilient and we will recover from this. And communication, constant and consistent communication is key. Thank you all for participating. Have a great day. Stay 6 feet apart. And I just have to say, I wanted to touch my face so much during this webinar, I could barely stand it. Thanks, everyone. Take care.